Good morning. First day of qualifying. Q1's at 12:30. It's about 2 hours from now. And we did some work on this bitch last night. We had a problem. Ed made the hit. 1 second into the hit, knocked out of the motor. He was right. The number 5 rocker arm came loose enough that the push rod was just laying in there. So he lost the cylinder. So he coasted it and down there and was running on 7 cylinders. So he brought it back here, pulled the valve cover off. Bolt broke on the stand, so we repaired that last night. Something else that we're picking up a little moisture in cylinder number 8. Yesterday, it seemed like when we were rolling the motor over without plugs in it, there's like a little bit of a mist of water coming out number 8. So we threw some radiator stop leak. It's made by bars in there and ran it really good and hot last night for a long time. This morning we pulled the plug in number 8, rolled it over. There's no moisture in there, so I think we cured that. I think we got a hot rod probably good enough to do Q1. We'll see what it looks like after Q1. This is vodka. Or wait, are we on gin today? No, we ran out of vodka last night. Twist the lemon, it tastes pretty good.
So you normally pack all your own chutes?
Normally. Sometimes my son does it, or as long as I know the person knows what they're doing, I don't care. But usually nobody wants to do it, so I have to do it. Brand new, and I just wanted to make sure they were packed right.
Got to change the models out quick.
We got the same plan as we had last night when we ended, which is basically go try and repeat our run from yesterday, the second pass, which is effectively a 388 208 pass from Michigan earlier this year. I don't know if it'll run that fast here. The altitude's a little bit higher. Turbos might not quite make the same boost, but it seemed like it was going to make it down the track yesterday. So we've got a little bit of cloud cover today. The track's probably a little bit tighter than it was. Compared to last night's run, it should be very similar. I'm saying let's roll with it and see what happens. I can always back it up. I know it'll go 405 if I put the other tune-up in it. So I'm going to, again, kind of hedge my bets, try with the 388 setup, and see if it makes it, because if it does, we're just that far ahead.
So we won't. You good? Grab that wood block. Okay, we're in staging lanes for Q1, and a couple additional notes that we're looking at here is the track is so good, it's grabbing to hold the tire, which is what you essentially want to do in the starting line, but it's grabbing it so hard it's called sticking the tire. And what we got in our suspension we got to get rid of sometime or somehow is it bunny hops, so it sticks and then wants to rebound off the ground and unloads the tire a little bit. So it's like a little bunny hop. We're trying to keep working it, flatten that out a little bit, so then we can just get it to squat and go. So there's some tricks. We're going to do some fine tuning on that, and hopefully we can start eating away at that and making it better. We like to get it above 200 miles an hour at about a 390s, somewhere in the 8th mile. It'll probably be about a 590 quarter mile, I would imagine, and that's what we're shooting for a tune-up. Anything faster than that, we'll be pretty happy.
too quick, too fast. So obviously it's not going to hold that. So we got to go back to how we were last week and slow it way down.
Okay.
Kick the door open?
Huh?
You kick the door open?
I guess.
I gotta get a picture of this.
30-50. Good.
Get the time slip.
As they go with the giddy up and passenger door, you kind of open up on that thing. You got to make sure you push it forward.
Oh, the door handle stays open inside.
It's sticky. Feel how sticky it is?
Went out there and it rolled the tire off. So the trick is to figure out if it was doing what it was supposed to do and the track's no good, or if it did something different and there's nothing really wrong with the track, so we can make a better decision about what to do next. Start shaking that right rear. Right there. Yeah, it just drives the tire off because it makes fucking way too much boost.
Damn, shaking the tires is breaking my crap, man. Everybody's got inner door panels on race cars. This is ours. Door handle. Speaker. Some maintenance on that too.
Right, so the problem that we're experiencing is that we can't control the boost. So you have this sort of vicious cycle where as you're trying to remove power, you're adding some power back as you add boost. And that's what we're up against now. And we're at a limit where the wastegate is actually wide open. And the problem is right here on the header. If you have a look, you have the exhaust gas exiting the engine through the primary tubes of the header, going into the collector and then down into the turbine housing where it spins the turbocharger. This is a wastegate. Typically, this is used to throttle the turbocharger by allowing exhaust gas to bypass around the turbo, and that lets you regulate the speed of the turbo and therefore the boost. The problem here is they've put the wastegate on at 90 degrees perpendicular to the exhaust flow, right? So the energy and the mass that's exiting the engine and the exhaust going into the turbine doesn't want to turn around 90 degrees to exit the wastegate. So I know that I will get a resulting power loss in the engine if I get rid of manifold pressure, which I'm trying to do the traditional way of the wastegate. It doesn't work. So the other option is to go to the blow-off valve. Now, the blow-off valve is hooked to the intake manifold on this pipe right here, and it's typically used when you close the throttle to keep from stalling the turbocharger and stopping it. When the engine's airflow stops because the throttle closes and the turbo's revved up, you get a big pressure spike and boost, and it can damage the turbos. But we can take advantage of the fact that we have that leak in the intake pipe and open them using a solenoid controlled by the ECU to give ourselves a bit of a way to regulate the pressure going to the engine, and that will overall cancel out the total amount of boost that we're getting from the turbo if we can just leak some off to atmosphere, and that will give us the power that we need in the engine to be able to get the tire to stay hooked to the ground. The problem that we have on the car is that we need a way to control the manifold pressure using the blow-off valve, and that currently doesn't exist in the software package that we're running. But luckily, I'm able to write the code for the ECU and add whatever kind of controls I can dream up, at least up to my technical ability.
Here we are, the Compkins Pit Pass. We're talking to Mr. Rod, and guys, you can see behind me, don't let the trailer fool you. This thing is 100% street car in the Sorceress.
So the car changing from supercharged to twin turbocharged, I knew that I needed to find something to get the extended period of pleasure out of it. Now, like you said, the 53-foot hauler, yeah, it does kind of fool you a little bit. But that's where the point was, because when I go across the country, I bring everything along with me. I don't want to be shut down or denied of something like that. So if it's a spare part, a bolt, nut, whatever it would be, we're going to make sure you get handled so the pleasure meter is still paying. Yeah. We're going to fuel it up. We're going to head up to the staging lanes here real quick, and I just warmed it up, so I'm going to top it off with fuel. It's like a fun run tonight. It doesn't count for qualifying for the Pro Mod event here and tomorrow. So we're going to go up and we're going to utilize this pass to help us build our new established blow-off valve curve, which is an auxiliary way for us to get rid of and dump extra boost. So the more runs we make at that, the more defined that graph will become, and the more of a purposeful tool it will be.
Jackson on the pit below. Please get behind the fences and help support things getting done here quickly and safely.
First bounce.
Oh,
It was going, it just
fuck yeah. You were ahead of him.
popped.
Ran a 403 and an 8th. You're 60 foots back at 106.
106 to 60, 273 to 330, 403 at 173 to the 8th. So you're actually out of
Wait,
it.
what was the mile
Yeah,
per
it
hour?
popped
What
before
was the
the
mile
eighth.
per hour at the 8th?
Only
173.
Oh, fuck, you already was out of it.
Yeah.
Fuck, you ran like a 390 or something. Holy shit, you're hauling ass.
Yeah, good.
So normally to go 403, you'd be at 199 or 200 miles an hour.
That's good.
403 at 178.
This is broke before the middle then. It must have hit the rep.
I was going.
Gonna go wing!
No,
it's poof. Doesn't make sense. It only does that.
Definitely didn't blow the tire off. It's so weird how it bends those things over.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Ooh, 273 is pretty good.
It was going. Like,
Oh, there's no doubt it was
enough to
going.
where I'm like thinking about where's the chute at?
Yeah, no,
Get my hand on the chute.
The bottom line is if we get the tune-up right, he wouldn't have had it. That was our race. We would have just ran away from him right there. A blower car, on a good running turbo car, if it's not ahead of him on the hit and at the 330, you could pretty much put your money on that turbo car is gonna run out the back end. So we're gonna look everything over, make sure mechanically everything is fine. Pretty much do a standard maintenance on this thing and see what we can come up with if there's anything at all. This car does not like to be on a rev limiter. And that's essentially what we're saying. It's up against the rev limiter trying to hold it back so much. The boost is still so aggressive. Yep.
Same one. Or no, it was the
No, this is the intake on number 3.
Exhaust on it?
It was this
Yes.
one that broke last time, wasn't it?
Yeah, exhaust in number 5 broke, but the intake in number 3 this time. It just sheared the bolts on the rocker arm itself. And we have all the pieces laying right there. Essentially has to deal with something that's so hopped up and unmanageable almost. He's trying to make it manageable by adding that extra curve to it that we have to use electronic ignition cut, and this motor just does not like to be stymied backwards like that. Thank God it's another easy fix. This time I have 2 broken bolts. We need to have ARP sponsors or something like that.
Right, so we made another run tonight. It ran pretty good, ran through that spot we were having a problem with where it's spinning the tire. So our power management strategy worked, but we had another hardware failure on the engine. Same thing as last night, but 1 cylinder forward on number 3. It's got the bolts broke off on the intake rocker arm, which probably is the result of the bolt that holds the stand for the exhaust rocker arm breaking off the cylinder head just like last night. So no problem, we ran this procedure last night. We just have to go through it again, get the stud out of the head, put a new stand on it, put new bolts in it, new bolts on the intake side, and hopefully try again. It also knocked the burst panels out of the intake manifold this time when it did it. So we fixed the burst panels and we should be able to run it again. It looks like everything else is in good shape, and more importantly, for me at least, the power management strategy I used opening these blow-off valves seems to have worked. We'll have a look at that next. The white trace is the run uncontrolled from earlier today, and then yellow is what we just did over the top of the orange. So you can see it overshoots the aim a little bit, but it doesn't let it go crazy. So this is a burst panel. This is actually a safety device. You can see it's made out of aluminum, and then it's got these creases pressed into it before you put it on the car, right? And then these are meant to make a weak spot so that if the pressure goes too high in the intake manifold, in the case of a backfire or something like that, instead of rupturing the plenum and blowing the intake manifold all apart, the burst panel will rupture, let the pressure out, and that way it saves all the parts on the car. So that's what happened to this thing on those last 2 runs. And there's a pretty good example of one that's been destroyed sticking up on top of the plenum over there. Okay, so you gotta go to race mode. CO2's on, right?
Yep. Well, we got this hot rod put back together. We had 2 broken bolts on 1 cylinder or 1 valve, and another broken bolt on the one. So we obviously we have to figure out what actually is making this happen. But until then, we did have the correct hardware to fix it. And we got it back together. She sounds great. We've put a new style of spooling in. It's just a different variant of how to do it, and we just spooled it just to qualify everything, and we like this new idea. I think we're going to try that tomorrow. We have 2 rounds of qualifying tomorrow, one at 11 a.m. and one at later on. So we're ready to go for the 11 a.m. one for sure. I think we just need a little bit more luck, that's all, and we'll get this thing down A to B. So thanks for watching.